Shchem became famous because of many reasons. One of the reasons is that according to the Bible, Joseph, the son of Jacob, was buried here in Nablus, in Shchem. And for hundreds of years, Jews from all over the world came to pray here in Nablus, near the tomb, near the grave of Joseph. This is the tradition. Can this tradition be approved by archaeology? Yes, indeed. Because according to the Bible, in the book of Joshua, Joseph was buried in the field near Shchem, which Jacob bought when he came back to the land of Israel from Babylon. And according to the Bible, the field was to the east, a little bit to the east of the city. Now, in the book of Joshua, it is written that Joseph was buried in the field that Jacob had bought hundreds of years ago. And that field is to the east of the city. Now, if we look down, we can see the ancient site of Shchem, of Nablus, with the walls surrounding the ancient town, and with houses and palaces and temples in the site itself, and a little bit to the east, about 300 yards to the east, we can see the traditional site of the tomb, of the grave of Joseph. So the location of the tomb, according to the tradition, fits exactly to the archaeology, because we have found the ancient site of Nablus, and according to the Bible, the tomb of Joseph is a little bit to the east of the town. Now, the question is why Joseph was buried here in Nablus. Well, it is very interesting that not only in the beginning of the time of Joshua there was a big ceremony here. Also in the end of the days of Joshua there was a big ceremony here. Joshua invited the leadership of the people of Israel in order to renew the covenant with God. In the book of Joshua, chapter 24, verse 1, and Joshua gathered all the tribes of Israel to Shchem, to Nablus, and called for the elders of Israel, and for their heads, and for their judges, and for their officers, and they presented themselves before God. They came to Nablus. Why did he call them to Nablus? In order to give them a chance to decide if they want to continue with the covenant with God or to leave, to break the covenant. And the people of Israel decided to continue with the covenant. It is written here, and the people said to Joshua, "The Lord our God we will serve, and his voice will we obey." They decided to continue with the covenant. And this was the final decision of the people of Israel. The process of the covenant started in Sinai, continued in Jericho, in the plains of Moab, near Jericho, before they crossed the Jordan River, and was concluded here in Nablus. And Joshua gave the people two witnesses. Any covenant, any agreement must have two witnesses. One witness he stationed, he put a big stone to be on the top in the temple in Shchem. He put a big stone to commemorate the renewal of the covenant. By the way, the archaeologists found a temple in the ancient site of Nablus, and we can see in the edge of the temple, we can see a big stone. Very interesting. But this was only the first witness. What about the second witness? Any agreement must have, according to the Bible, 2 witnesses. And here comes the Bible and said, and Joseph was buried near Nablus, near Shchem. Which means that he was the second witness. He was elected, he was chosen to be the second witness because in his life, he reached the highest level of the fulfillment of the Word of God. His loyalty to morality, his moral behavior, his refusal to the beggings, to the pleadings of the wife of Potiphar made him a symbol of sacred life, of holy life. He became a symbol of the fulfillment of the Word of God. And that's why he was chosen to be the second witness. And he was buried right here in order to remind us that anyone who wants to abide by the covenant with God must lead holy life, just as Joseph had, even when he was alone in Egypt. Holiness, sacredness is the highest expression of the covenant with God as symbolized, as expressed by Joseph. That's why he was buried right here in Nablus, near the site of the covenant, of the renewal of the covenant of God with the people of Israel.